So here's something I have been dreaming of for a long time. Living full-time in an RV, believe it or not. Yeah. In fact, ever since high school, I even thought about getting a school bus and converting it. Those are called schoolies, by the way. And I've just dreamed of it on and off for years and years. And since I got married, started having kids, etc., I've still dreamed of it. But the question is, what kind of job could you possibly have where you could travel around and live in such a tiny space? You know, most people have jobs at a fixed location, and you have to go to your office or whatever, and so you stay there, which is the same as like schools. Your kids go to a certain school, so you stay there. Now, the school thing has never been a problem because we've homeschooled, so that's one thing that makes us mobile. But the job thing, even back when Nat was an antiques dealer, that involves owning a bunch of stuff. You know, he buys stuff and he sells stuff and he has all his packaging materials and etc. And so even that was not very mobile. So really, in our day and age, the way that makes it possible, the thing that makes it possible is being digital nomads, where all you need is an internet connection and a laptop, and you can do your job. You can work. Now, I thought it was mostly just bloggers and YouTube people and, I don't know, like accountants or something, like people who made money on the internet that way. But you know what? Coding. All you need is the internet and a laptop. And guess what? Nat and I are both full-time software engineers, and we are both fully remote. So, we want to try it out. We really do. Because not only, first of all, our kids are older now, so, no more diapers. They're more independent. They can feed themselves. They can clothe themselves. That's less of a pain in itself, right? So instead of taking care of babies, I can take care of the camper when I'm not working. That'll be my baby. That's my new baby. We have it, by the way. We have an RV. More on that later. But what am I talking about? Anyway, I'm talking about digital nomads. Now, the number one priority for us is to be able to work. We need internet. So how are we going to do that? We know we can't rely on RV, on what's it called? Campground, internet on the campground, because other full-time RVers have warned us against it. Like, no, it's slow, it's unreliable, no. But thankfully, lots of other full-time RVers have recommended a solution, and that is mobile internet. Here, I have it right now. Here's our router. You've got two different connectors for Wi-Fi, and two different ones for two different SIM cards. You can have two different SIM cards in here. Right now we just have one, and that's for our unlimited data AT&T plan. And we're using it right now. Like, literally all the devices in our house are connected to this instead of our home internet right now. And it's working. So we are testing it out, in other words, before we try coding on the road, because we don't want to risk our jobs. Let's put it that way. AT&T has amazing coverage. We could get a second SIM card for either Verizon or T-Mobile if we're going into areas where AT&T might not have as much coverage, but all the areas we want to go to is covered. So we're not big mountain people or anything, so it should be okay. So that's a number one priority. The second thing, which we have yet to figure out, is whether we can live in a small space. Now, one solution to this is living in warmer climates, so you can have more outdoor space, right? If you are stuck inside for months at a time, You want more indoor space. I know this because we lived in North Dakota. In North Dakota, you are inside for 6 months of the year. It's too cold. It's very cold. It gets too cold to snow. It's really bad. It's like, what's it? The ice planet Hoth. That's what it's like. Anyway, one reason we left and went south. But even going south was like, we're not far enough south yet. We need to go further south. Like, it should never get below 50 degrees. No, only sweater weather. No winter coats ever. That's just my opinion. I do know people who like the cold, and that's great. Then you can live in the north. You can live whatever. It's fine. But I want to go south. But anyway, so that's one solution to the lack of space, is to be able to be outdoors more. And for the kids, that means more independence as well. So like being able to ride their bikes around and just meet other kids, even go to the playground by themselves or the lake by themselves or wherever it is. In the houses that we've rented and stayed in, we've had a yard, but the kids can't go anywhere but the yard, because cars are driving on the street and the park is too far away for them to go by themselves, and there's strangers everywhere, etc. So that has limited the kids' ability to explore and play as well. So that's something else I'm thinking about, is just exploring, playing more outdoor freedom. Another thing is minimalism. Minimalism is something we started practicing a long time ago, actually, when the kids were young, because for one thing, we just hated the mess. Just toys everywhere. When you're just living with adults, it's not so bad, because for the most part, adults can be pretty organized and pick up after themselves, etc. Most adults, most of the time, I would hope. But kids, it's just a constant battle. And also toys create conflicts. If you have one kid, maybe not. I mean, they'll get bored of the toys, so you just have to buy more and more, right? But with siblings, they want whatever the other one has. But if there are no toys, guess what? They actually love having siblings around because they can play with each other, So instead of playing with toys, they're playing with each other, and that makes them allies rather than enemies. Let's put it that way. So that was the beginning of our minimalism. I suppose I personally have always been kind of minimalistic. I hate having stuff around that I don't use on a regular basis for the most part. So we already don't have a lot of stuff. And another thing is like cooking. People wonder about food storage and cooking space and counter space and all this such stuff, and I don't cook very much. We have a very minimalistic diet, let's put it that way. So that's not a big deal for me either. However, we all love cooking stuff over a campfire. Like, even the stuff that the kids find the most repulsive, you put it on a stick and cook it over a campfire, and all of a sudden it's this exotic, wonderful thing that they'll just love. It doesn't have to be marshmallows either. It could be anything. Cheese sticks and apples, and I haven't tried broccoli or anything. I should try broccoli. Fire roasted broccoli. I bet they'd eat it. That would be good. Or Brussels sprouts. Anyway, so food, that's another thing. But all I'm saying is, just like with the internet, we need to try it out. Because it's one thing to try imagining something and logically trying to discern whether it's going to work or not. But there's so many unknown factors, so many unknowns. And so we just need to try it. The first thing we're going to do is just try it for a couple of nights, like 2 nights away from home, and see what it's like. We're not even going to try to work those 2 nights. This could be over a weekend. We'll see what it's like. Next step is, if that works out, it's like a step-by-step, like a so far so good, small risk at a time. Gradually growing to bigger risks, baby steps. The next step is to take it on a longer trip, and this will be to Texas. Texas is where we will register it and get our domicile. basically. Will become Texas residents, and there's a way to do it. I've learned about this from all these other full-time RVers, where you have to choose your state of residence and get an address through Escapees Club and get a mail forwarding service, all this stuff. Research, 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 as usual. So that's going to be the next step, is trying it out for like a few weeks or a month, like a month, traveling around, working full time. And if at any time during that month it becomes clear to us, like, this is not going to work, we we we're we can't focus on work. That would be a no-go. Or we are like driving each other crazy and our relationships are suffering. That would also be a warning sign. Or any number of other things that I can't even anticipate. Those are the two primary ones I can think of. If things break down or something, we can deal with that. It's just like if you own a house and things break. Actually, RVs are much less expensive than houses in that sense. They're very expensive toys, but they're very cheap homes. Let's put it that way. So anyway, is the life of a digital nomad right for you? We think it might be right for us. Our kids, for one thing, because some of our best times as a family have been when we've gotten into the car, driven somewhere, and just went exploring, or even just driving around the city, even just driving around. Nat and I get to talk. The kids get to sleep. They sleep, we talk. Driving is good. But yeah, some of our best times as a family have been exploring, and just enjoying the beauty of the world and experiencing different people. We love encountering different people, different cultures, and obviously this is going to be within the US. So, but even within the US, there's a lot of cultural differences around the country, and definitely differences in the landscape and climate and such. So there's a lot of adventure to be had. So we're gonna try it out, and I'll share what it's like and the journey and such. So stay tuned.